Hi, I'm Mark Mancini with VRBO Outstanding. This week's episode, we're going to talk about how to extend your Wi-Fi range around your house, to your pool, to your entire property. So stay tuned. So welcome back. This week, we're going to talk about how to improve and extend your Wi-Fi network. Many routers, hopefully you watched our previous episode where we talked about some of the best routers to go with. But if you're still working with an older router that you don't want to replace yet, there are some options, okay? Now, we're going to first talk about what's called a mesh network. Now, the mesh topology grew from an older technology that is still available, but I would suggest not using. And that's using repeaters or wireless access repeaters. So what you have is a router, generally with a wireless access capabilities on that router. And it may only be able to go about 1,000 or 1,500 square feet. It may not cover your entire home very well. So a repeater, what that will do is listen and repeat that signal. Now, a lot of times there's just noise and it's repeating noise, much like audio. If you get an amplifier that is simply repeating stuff and it's repeating, for instance, distortion, you're just going to have repeated distortion. And it's the same thing for Wi-Fi. Now, about 5 or 6 years ago, some new technology came out with mesh topology. You may have seen them. Google Nest, Eero, TP-Link, are just a couple of them that are out there. And what they are devices that plug straight into your AC power. And generally there's nothing else, you just plug it into the AC power. Now it does pretty much the same thing where it repeats the signal. So you've got your base, your wireless router, and you'll usually have 2 packs or 3 packs of these mesh network. And what happens is it listens for the Wi-Fi and then it rebroadcasts and repeats it. And then you might have another mesh device over here and it listens and it repeats that, and another one over here, and another one over here, and another one over here. You can start with 2 or 3 and add several and get wireless access around your pool or around your entire property. But as you do that, what you're going to have is some slower speeds, some internet and network latency, and it's just not going to be the most highest tech way to get Wi-Fi throughout. Plus, with a mesh network, there's generally a limit of 20 devices on that network. So if you have a larger house, say it's 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 square feet, and it's multiple levels, you're going to want to have at least 1 mesh device on each level to broadcast it onward. Now, again, you're limited to 20 devices, and remember, that's going to be your smart TV. So let's just say you have 6 bedrooms and a living room, and you've got a TV in each of those rooms. That's 7 devices. You have a smart lock, you've got some cameras, there's a few more. Now you've got 15 people in the house. Things are going to start getting slow, okay? The good thing about a mesh network is that it is very inexpensive and easy to install. There's generally an app on your phone, and you set it up with a QR code on the device, and you plug it into the outlet, and then it'll just listen and repeat. There's really nothing you have to program or do with these devices. They will work well in a basic environment. Another thing about these mesh devices is that they're generally only for use inside of a home. You cannot use these outside of a home. So it's good for getting a signal throughout the home. It's inexpensive. They're a couple $100. You can add 2, 3, or more. Usually they come in sets of 2 or 3. And it allows you to amplify and extend that signal where you've got weak coverage in parts of your house. Now there's a brand called Eero, E-E-R-O. It's a great device. Out of all of them, it's probably my favorite. I use them at my house in South Carolina because Eero's a little bit different. Eero has these plugs, these Ethernet plugs that are underneath. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to change wired to wireless or wireless to wired. And in geek terms, nerd alert, is bounded to unbounded media or unbounded to bounded media. Let's talk about what that is. Let's say you've got a wired camera system. And this is why I have it. I've got a wired camera system at my dock in South Carolina. I have 2 cameras on the dock. They're wired from the dock to the home. They're connected to an NVR, a network video recorder, because it can record over 30 days of video all the time. I want to have this available. I don't want to have a UFI or a Ring or anything else like that that only records on motion. I want constant recording. So that's a wired network, and it comes into my garage on the first level. My wireless router is up on the 2nd floor. It's not easy for us to run a wire down to where it is without causing a complete mess. So what Eero allows you to do is connect the Ethernet from that NVR into that AC power, and it changes a wired connection, which that NVR requires, to wireless. Up where the router is the same type of device. It's plugged into the wall, and it goes from a wire into the router, and it changes that wireless connection into wired on both ends. So it makes 2 wired networks connected with a wireless bridge, okay? It is a great device. I think it was about $300. Works really well, and I'm pretty sure Amazon bought them, I think. So they're being used quite often. Again, it's very much more of an enhanced home use. It's really more kind of enterprise, small, medium business type use. Really good device. I've had it for 4 or 5 years. Never had an issue with it. Plug it in, set and forget. Now, if you do go with a mesh, stick with your name brands. I recommend the Eero. You can go with a Google Nest. Again, not a big fan of TP-Link. Netgear is not bad, but we talked about that Netgear Nighthawk router. Some of those routers can go 2,500 to 3,500 square feet in a home, but you may want to go further, and that's where that mesh comes in. Now, you could also do something else. Aside from the mesh router, you can do what's called a wireless access point, or WAP, W-A-P. Not to be confused with a totally different song with the initials WAP, which is not suitable for work. So, wireless access points. My absolute favorite is Ubiquiti. I've installed these in businesses. In fact, I installed them in a 400 person, 400 employee medical facility. They work great, okay? Now, Ubiquiti has these wireless access points that can work outside. This is where the game changer is. They have very frequently, and you'll see links below. So take a look below. I've got links for all these products. They look like a big hockey puck, a big disc, almost like a UFO. And there's a low-end model. It's about $100 or so, and it'll hold I think about 10 or 12 users on that, and it's a fairly decent speed. Then for about $225, there's a higher end one. Now that higher end one can hold 60 or so clients on that one access point, and that access point is also going to get you more speed, so it's going to be a lot faster than that $100 unit. Now another unit they have, Ubiquiti has, is a mast type, and I'm going to show you pictures of these below. But it's a cylinder, and we've got one here at Oasis. It attaches to a mast. It works great for outside. Now the difference, and the one thing about wireless access points that makes it a little bit tricky, is number one, the access points are all wired. With the mesh, they're just plugged into AC power. With the WAPs, you need an Ethernet cable that goes back to the router or to the switch, which goes to the router. You'll also need power for this wireless access point, unless you use PoE, or power over Ethernet. Your Ethernet, we talked about this last episode, 4 of the wires of the 8 are for data, 4 of the other 8 wires are for power. So Ubiquiti has these PoE switches, which will send power over to the access point and power it. That's what I use, and that's what I prefer. I don't want to have to worry about power where the access point is. Now, these access points, they can be a little bit more money, but they're a lot more stable. They offer a great interface. Ubiquity has a great interface. You'll see pictures on the side here of, it'll show what clients are connected to each, the signal strength, diagnosis. You can do firmware updates of each with a simple mouse click or a fingerprint on your phone, and it's a great alternative. If you've got a property that's got acres and you want to get Wi-Fi out to, whether you're in the woods and out there in the mountain area or in the beach area, and you want to get Wi-Fi coverage, it's a great way to do it. And we're going to show you around the Oasis how we have these access points set up. It's a much better alternative to the mesh. Again, you can use these outside, they're faster, you get more devices on them, and remember, everything that connects to the internet is a device. So it's TVs, it's cameras, it's smart locks, it's everything else. So let's take a look around. So here under the tiki, the northeast portion of our 3-acre estate, we've got a Ubiquity access point up here, and I put it here so that it would encompass the tiki area for the guests and provide great coverage. This is the higher end unit. That was about $225. I wanted to get more users on it, so I put one over here. Let's go ahead and let's show you the next one. So here at the guest house, we have an inexpensive Ubiquity access point because this is strictly for the guest use area. This is on the southeast part of the property, and it's really just to get the guest house area and get good Wi-Fi over here. Now we're going to show you what's on top of the guest house, which is the Ubiquity mast. Now hopefully you saw that white cylindrical device. That was the mast Ubiquity access point. Again, it's on the south side of the property, right by the pool over the guest house, and that's actually going to cover the main house area and the pool in this part of the beach. So between this and the tiki, we're encompassing the beach, and this gets the whole eastern part of the estate. Now we're going to show you the garage area and what we have over there. So what the previous owners did was they went from the guest house and they trenched 2 Ethernet cables over to the garage. Now the garage area is not accessible to guests. This is where we keep our storage for extra sheets and pillows and other things for extra coffee makers and so forth. My wife's studio is in here. I also have my computers, and I work out of here as well. So again, all these access points are wired. They wired 2 from that point over to here in the garage. One of the access points is inside the garage to ensure that I can work without any issues and have a great Wi-Fi signal. The second wireless access point is right up here at the very top of the building, and that's outward towards the street. So here we are at the north part of the property, and it's designed to go out towards the street to get the front part of the estate. Now that was primarily to get the cameras that are over at the front gate, but it doesn't have as good of a signal as I was anticipating. So we actually put another one over there. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Also wanted to show you something else. We ran a wire, when we ran the electrical for the tiki, we ran an Ethernet wire from the garage underground over to the tiki. So that's how we got the Ethernet wire to the tiki, is that we were trenching a 100 amp circuit for the tiki, and we ran that as well. So again, these are all things you want to plan ahead of time. Now, what I did for the, I put an access point over by the front part of the property because I wanted to make sure my cameras had excellent signal strength. So I ran conduit from the guest house all the way on the ground behind those fantail trees over to the southwest side of the property in the corner, and I've got an access point actually attached to a tree, and it's designed to go towards the cameras by the front gate so that this way the Wi-Fi signal for those cameras is strong. Okay, again, more work, more expense, very high quality. And that's the difference between a mesh and a Wi-Fi network. That's how you can improve the Wi-Fi at your short-term rental that guests want and expect. If you have any questions, because I get it, this was a whole lot of technical stuff, please hit the like and subscribe button below and ask your questions. More than happy to answer any of the technical stuff with extending your Wi-Fi, with repeaters, with mesh networks, also with wireless access points. So remember, hit subscribe and we'll see you again next week.